Hey guys, Nicole here. So I recently just uploaded a video that I did um, about heritage scrapbooking. And at the end of that video, I kind of showed what I had done at that point in time. And I've worked quite a bit more on it. But now I've put it away for a little while. Sometimes it's, you work so much on a project and then you just kind of get burnt out on it and you're ready to do some, play with some other product, do some other scrapbooking. And so I thought I'd just give you a quick show real quick of what I did in this album so far and kind of then what my plans is for the next step in this process when I get back into it. It's totally okay to take a break from something for a little while. This stuff isn't going anywhere. Just trying to make sure I can see everything in the screen here. And so that's just where I'm at right now. Got a lot done. I got up through most of my great grandparents on my dad's side. And I'm gonna probably need to move into another album. And then I'll be getting my great grandparents wrapped up and then onto my grandpa. And of course, that's when I have a lot more photos of my grandparents and then my parents. And so that will be a lot of fun to get into. But for now, I needed a little bit of a break. So I just wanted to start from the beginning again. I know you've seen some of this already, but just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about some of the things I found and how I incorporated some research into the album and just so the layouts that I completed. And so at the beginning here, I have this, and I'm sorry if there's any glare. I don't want to take everything out of their protectors, so I'll try to hopefully move things so that you don't have too much of a glare the whole time. So this very front page is again one that I had in some documents, and it was typed up by I think it'd be like I don't know, technically a cousin, but it would have been the brother of my great grandpa. And I think that he had typed up and kind of sent to the families. And I actually had 2 copies of it because I think I probably got my grandparents' copy and then my parents' copy. And so I have them both in here, but on this side, eventually I'm going to do like a family tree visual over here. And then I'm starting with my oldest ancestor so that I start from the beginning and then work my way to more current ancestors. And just trying to look and see how the glare is looking on here. I think if I keep it flat, it's actually a little bit better. So, starting with my oldest ancestors, and was lucky enough to have a picture that had been taken from some lockets and copied. And so they aren't great pictures, but I'm just thankful to have them. And so started with them, and this is in, so these folks here were born in like the late 1790s to early 1800s, just to give you a time frame of where I'm starting. And I had some basic information about them. Again, I did a lot of research on Ancestry.com, some other sites. I found some on my mom's side of the family. I have some literature, like books that have actually been written. And here I had a bunch of family members' research files that I had kind of gone through as well. And so I tried to copy some of that and incorporate it and that kind of thing. So there's that. And then here I printed off some of the censuses where these folks showed up and just put them on cards, like on cardstock, and used some old stamps and some labels to use as polls. So those can be pulled out and looked at. They're hard to read. I tried to print them on photo paper. I tried to print them on regular paper, and they're just due to the nature of them. They're older. They were scanned in. A lot of times their writing is hard to read, but you can still see them, and then at least have a date to, if you want to access them online, you can as well. So then here I made some copies of some family information about this part of the family that had already been typed up and researched by other family members. So I just copied those and put them in here. I copied them onto more of like a tan or a cream colored cardstock, just so they didn't look so, it wasn't such a stark white. Since I was printing it onto type, copy paper, I wanted it to still have that vintage heritage feel. And so I just found some darker colored paper and did that. So this has some information that had already been documented, and I just wanted to put that in here so people can really look at the whole story of at least of what we have access to. Here is a 6x8. I had land deeds that this ancestor had purchased land when he moved to Illinois. And so I printed, there were actually 3 of them. I just printed 2 of them because they were all the same. I might print the other one and just stick it in the middle. I need to just look and see which one I don't have printed. But I thought that was really cool. Because back in the time when people bought land, the President of the United States actually signed the deeds. And so this is signed by John Tyler, which is really cool. And this is in, I'm trying to think of what year. I know the date's on here. I'm not seeing it right off the top of my head, but so that was cool to have. And then on to the next family member, his son and his family. And I had some pictures that had been copied off. So I just took a picture. I think I just took a picture of a picture. I may have scanned them. I think I took a picture though. I think that worked out better. And I'm using a variety of product. I'm using a lot of this is Simple Stories, their latest heritage line or ancestry line. I don't remember what it was called. And then just a bunch of stash from my product. In my video I showed you I have a lot of stash. So that I've collected over the years. Some of it is truly from antique stores, and some of it is different paper lines. So here I had a picture of some memorial in the grave of that ancestor, and then have some, again, printed information about that family, printed from other family members, given to me by other family members. And this includes, so I have a coat of arms for actually his wife's family. And the way I'm going to approach that is I'm doing the direct ancestors. I talked about this in the last video, my direct ancestors. And then if I can go back, and if I want it, that's my priority. And then I can go back and focus on then the wives and their families, because they're all our grandparents, and I just want to get the direct line first, and then I can go back and then dig into some of the spouses. And but I did have the coat of arms for the wife, so I went ahead and printed that. And then this is the I think this ancestor fought for the Union, and so I had some documentation of his discharge from that. I think he was discharged due to illness, let me see, actually, I'm trying to remember. But this is kind of cool. It's so amazing the different information you can find. Let's see. 48. So he had disease of the lungs and rheumatism is why he was discharged for disability purposes from the Civil War. So that's cool. So it's fun, that different things that you can find. I had a couple more documentations of him being in the Civil War, and that is so cool. I love having that information. And so then I did have some information on some cookies that she loved to make, and so I just kind of printed off some of that information and put it down here. And then this is then moving on down to their kids. And here I'm getting to where I have a few more pictures of my great grandpa and his siblings. And so if I had the photos, in my pile, I went ahead and scrapbooked them, even though they are not my direct lineage. But like here, I had this really beautiful wedding photo from my grandpa's brother and his wife. and just thought that that was gorgeous and wanted to scrapbook it. So I went ahead and did that. And then here I have a picture of my great grandpa and one of his other siblings. And so as you can see, I'm doing a variety of sizes. So since this was a smaller photo that I wanted to have by itself, I did an 8.5 by 11 and just intermixed them. Again, that's the reason why I love the 3-ring binders. Again, did the censuses. And here for the pullouts, I just use these labels that I had and wrote the information, but then again, they can be used as tabs. Here, I want to come back and do something with it. I think, well, maybe not. I want to come back and either put some paper in it. I'm not for sure what I want to do because the front and back are both really pretty. But this was a community Christmas tree program that I found so I found the time frame. It was from the location. I don't know 100% that they were there. I'm assuming they were since we have the program. But this is from 1920. It was some kind of Christmas tree, something, or community Christmas tree. This particular town, this is a town I actually was born and raised in. So they had just like Christmas specials. So from the different communities, they just had like this little pamphlet, and this is so awesome because it just tells you kind of like what the community was doing in this time frame in history. Right now, currently, this particular town is not in great shape. It's gone downhill in the last 20, 30 years, or probably 40 years. But this is so cool. I mean, this is so cool just to see all the different things that they had going on in that town. When it was a thriving community, and it was right on it was basically at the end of the railroad. And so a lot of settlers that were maybe moving west kind of found themselves stopped in this location. And that's why my ancestors stopped, was because they're like, well, the train ends here, so this is where we're going to settle. And it was on the river and a good farmland. And so then here is another sibling of my grandpa's that I had some documentation for. I had her funeral pamphlet and some pictures of her and her with her nieces and nephews. And I think this particular gal was never married. And so I don't have a whole lot of pictures of her besides by herself and with her nieces and nephews and siblings. And so then here I have more group photos of this family, as photography is getting to be a little bit more popular and they're using it more regularly. And so some of this documentation too I had on the photos themselves. Some of them my mom had written some information down, and so I just made sure that I took a picture of the back and got that information down. And I used photo corners for a lot of these just so I wouldn't have adhesive on the back. And I talked last time about kind of the, thought about scrapbooking the actual photos themselves. And this is something that I kind of researched a little bit and got some different opinions and thoughts on, because I know that typically they say not to. However, because I don't have really anyone else that is really interested in these pictures or this history or this family history, I'm kind of the last one. And I feel like this is the safest place for them. And it's okay for me to scrapbook the originals because I think this is a better place for them to live than in some box somewhere and then just have them get thrown away or given to an antique store. Because, you go to antique stores and you find all these old family photos that no one ever obviously wanted. And so it's one of those things where I felt like this was the safest place for them and the best thing to do with them. Since I'm probably the last one in this family that is going to have any interest in that, and documenting and kind of keeping it in a safe place. And so, so here I'm continuing on with this particular side of the family and my grandpa's siblings, and just scrapbook just what I had. I just didn't want to. I wanted to have them all in the album. Here I had some more kind of individual shots of just my great grandpa. So I did a page focused on him. I don't think I had this one done last time. So I think we're maybe now getting into some that you guys haven't seen yet from the end of the last video, the really, really long video. And then see, you're getting into a mix of where you have the sepia, but then you're kind of starting to get into the more black and white photos. And some of them have these decorative edges on them, and I'm not for sure if that's how they printed them or how that happened. There's a lot of them like that, so I don't know, maybe that's how they printed them, or maybe they tore out of a big sheet, that's how they came out. I'm not for sure. And so this is just kind of a general look at his life, and as you can see, I pulled in some Bo Bunny product. I guess I'm not talking about product a whole lot just because again, it's a lot of it is, it's just a variety of different collections and different things, a lot of Tim Holtz, and again, like I said, some of it is like true antique papers that I got from different antique stores, but most of it is scrapbook product that I've been collecting over the years. And like these are like these epoxy stickers, and they're from, I don't remember, I've had them in my stash for forever. So it's been fun to get that product used up. I have his funeral pamphlet again here. I like those just because they have some basic information. You can pull it out and look at the whole thing. It has family members. It has, the pallbearers, so you get a clue into their life and who their friends and family were, that kind of thing. These I put in this time frame because I thought that that's where it landed. These are actually some food stamps, or not food stamps, ration stamps. So here we're into like World War II time frame. I imagine these would have been my great grandparents. Ration stamps from World War II when they were rationed for food, and I kind of amazed they didn't use them. But I have some stories about this family that he was this side of the family is particularly known for being very stubborn. I saw that as a theme kind of throughout the research and the reading, and I think that maybe they had kind of that mindset that they weren't going to use help as long as they didn't need to. So I'm not for sure what the story is with why these weren't used, but maybe that's why, or maybe the war ended and they didn't need them anymore. And I don't know. I'm not for sure, but we have them and they're so cool. And I'm, because of where they were in my papers, I'm thinking that they belong with this family in this time in history, because they don't have dates on them. So I have marriage record of my great grandpa and his wife, and so that was kind of cool. I just made a copy of that, or had a copy of it, and this is not a great copy, but I wanted to put it in here. It was an invitation to, I think, a bridal shower, I believe, for that wedding. So I thought that was really cool. Even though you can't read it real great, it still has some handwriting on it, and you can read it if you look close enough. And then I had a very nice picture of them. I'm not for sure what this may be their wedding photo. I know that I'll have to look. There's a picture down the road where if you look in the background of the photo on the wall, you could see their wedding pictures in those beautiful oval frames. And I'm not for sure. I don't know. I'm not for sure of the reason for this photo, but it's the youngest picture I have of them. I think that's the only picture I have of them really young. The rest of them, they're all older. And that's probably just, again, the ease of photography kind of maybe came down the pike a little bit further down the road. Here, I just had some photos of just the two as a couple that had been taken through the last probably 10, 15 years of their lives. And so I wanted to document that. And just use this old Heidi Swapp clocks, and then I think this metal one is maybe a Tim Holtz. But it was fun. I have had those Heidi Swapp clocks for forever, and just did some tags. So I just had some fun with each page. It was a lot of fun to play with this old product. And then now I'm back to some printed information. I didn't want all the printed information all in one reading because that's what it is in the books that they came from, right? So I really wanted to intersperse these tidbits amongst the pages. So it just was a little bit more interesting. And then you had the context of the information with the photos. of what they looked like at the time that they were maybe getting, that we were talking about here. And so, so here's some more information kind of specific to this family and their farming and that kind of thing. I had this article that I had found. I'd like to find some more information on it, but apparently on that farm that was baby built from scratch by my great grandpa, they must have been digging like for something for farming purposes and came across some old bones, and they found a whole bunch of skeletons of Indian Americans. And so they got people in to come and excavate them, and they got them into a museum collection and that kind of thing. So that was a really cool story. My mom must have found that and had made copies of it. So I wanted to get that in here. And then I had these old sepia photos of them that they're dressed up. So I'm thinking it was an anniversary party of some sorts. And then this is a picture where I looked in the background and see that their wedding photos are on the wall, and she is wearing a white dress. So I'm not for sure what the other photo was for. And I'm like, oh, I wish I knew where those photos were, even just have a picture of them, of their wedding photo. But you can see them in the background. And I have some of these. This has been very popular because I actually have two frames just like this of my grandparents and must be my grandma's parents. I have them hanging in my bedroom actually. And so that was just like a real popular way for them to display their wedding photos or their, special photos back in the day. So those were fun. So I love that I can at least see their wedding photos. I'm guessing that's probably why they took the picture there, was because I think it was an anniversary get together. And then I just had this large photo. I don't know if this was, I think my mom had maybe printed this and just hadn't scrapbooked it yet. And that was probably one of their last photos, like real nice photos together. I love how they don't smile. It was just a thing back then. And then here I had a really hard time getting a good copy of this, but my great grandpa surprised my great grandma for their anniversary. I had a surprise party for her, and so there's a newspaper article about it. So here they do actually have I forgot they have a wedding picture in this newspaper article, which is, so I do have, I guess, kind of a very faded copy of it. I wish I just could get a good copy of that photo. That would be really cool. Here I started to incorporate some flowers that still have that really vintage feel to them. I think they're Prima, and some Prima buttons. And as you can see, I'm kind of my colors are kind of very subtly starting to change a little bit to more, we're getting into the 30s, 40s, 50s, and, where the kind of colors tend to change a little bit and get a little bit brighter. Here's a couple of photos that I had from this photo shoot that they had done. I have a bunch of pictures from this particular day. I had a picture of just them, the parents, and then I had a picture, someone took a picture of the photographer taking a picture of the group. I'm like, how creative was that they did that? Like, I love that. It just makes me feel like I was meant to be a memory keeper, because someone thought that would be a cool picture, and I just love that creativity of whoever took that picture. So that was kind of neat. And I don't know if you guys can see that really well, but the photographer is there and he's taking a picture of the Gardner family. And so someone took a picture of that whole process, which is really cool. Here was also a really cool piece of paper that I love it for multiple reasons. It's on my grandpa's letterhead for his farm. And then it was basically a list of who all came when she had one of the babies, and what they brought, or who, I think just who visited. I don't think it's about what they brought, just who visited. It's numbered, it's dated. I am in love with this, and it's obviously, you can tell it's from a long time ago. So it's really, really cool. I'm thankful to have that. So then this is now moving on then to my grandpa. No, I'm sorry. I'm kind of transitioning to my grandpa. So then I have this picture of my great grandpa and grandma, and then all their kids. So kind of transitioned from them and their siblings now to their family, their kids. And that's getting into then my generation that I have a little bit more familiarity with. Obviously, not from this long ago, but getting into my grandpa. And my grandpa's right there. He's the baby. This is about 1928. And so now I'm kind of moving into that next section of family. And here I had these big chipboard letters, and I just covered it with some heritage pattern paper, and that turned out nice. And then here's where I'm going to have some holes. I need to start. I have a few more things to document, but I have some old like newspaper articles. My great grandpa, and my grandpa were known for their shorthorn breeding, and so there was some information that I found documented for that, where he was recognized for that. Here I actually found some just farmland documentation that they had to do, I think, for like legal reasons, but it's really cool. It has like drawings and things like that in there and information about the property. And then I had, when they posted after my great grandpa passed away, I think they must have sold a good portion of the farm, not the whole farm because my grandpa farmed, but I think they must have sold a whole bunch. And so these are these big pamphlets. There's like 3 or 4 of them that must have been left over that they probably just posted around town and to advertise. And I thought that was really cool to have in there, so you can look at those. And then I have this layout of the house that my great grandpa built, that my grandpa was born, raised, and died in. And it's unfortunately no longer in our family, but it still is. It still exists. There's been a few minor changes made to it, but the farm is still there and the house is still there. And I have a lot of great memories in this house, and I love that it has such a great history and was built by my great grandpa. It was just built across the road from where he had initially settled. Has old newspaper from the town. This is again the town that I grew up in, but the time frame was during, I think it was. It's getting pretty fragile. I love that people save this. I don't, you get annoyed when you go through all your stuff and you have like, all these newspapers because you just threw it in a tub because there's some random picture of one of your kids in an article or something. But I'm like, oh, I wish I had more of these like old newspapers, but this is from 1931. And so I just wanted to, even though it doesn't have anything to do with it, I didn't see anything about my family members in here. I'm so thankful someone kept it because it just gives you, again, a good insight into what was going on in that community, in the town, and the fact that it had a paper this ginormous for a town that is so small and is now a lot smaller. Of course, again, back in the day, it was kind of a thriving community, and so it's really cool to see that contrast between what it used to be and what I know of what it is now. And I just backed that with, I had this corrugated craft paper, and just put that as the background for that because it's a little bit thicker. It has some interest to it with the corrugation. And then here I printed off some more kind of informational pieces about the town itself and the history of it. And so it just, again, context is what I was really focusing on, was what was a town like when my ancestors were there, and who are the people that they probably knew and did business with, and things like that. And so there were some pictures, really cool pictures of, again, some parts of the town that have burnt down, or again, now, like I said, it's a pretty sad shape. The whole town's in a pretty sad shape now, but so anyway, so that was kind of cool. And then moving along, then I did one page on, I'd already kind of done a page that had like his memorial information. I think I need to maybe move that around a little bit, but I had one more really cool, nice picture of him, and then I had a gravestone, and I had found some more things for his obituary, and so I just made a pocket and put them in there so they can be pulled out and read. and just kind of wanted to say, like, kind of sum up this family, and then I'll be moving on to my grandpa. And I think that's all I have. So I had some pictures of my grandma and grandpa that I had already done like years ago that I'm trying to decide if I want to redo them, if I want to make, like, now I'm so focused on look and feel and making sure that things, the product that I use is mimicking the time frame and the stories. And I worry, back in the day when I was still figuring out my scrapbooking style and how I liked things, I still use vintage papers, but I'm not for sure if they're the ones I want to use. So I might have to redo some. I'm not for sure, but I did move out all my grandpa's layouts that I'd already done. Oh, wait, there's a couple of those that were more recent. So maybe, okay, I'm going to go grab those really fast. But what I think the game plan is I have enough things yet left for this part of the family or this generation. But I figured that this would be nice and full. And so then the next album is moving on to my grandpa. I'm going to just go grab that really quickly and just see what I have done of that so far. Because I know I have some layouts there of my grandpa and his siblings. Let me just go grab that really fast. So hopefully I'm not boring you guys too much. Just wanted to show you guys what I've gotten done. So then this next album will be then my grandpa and then my dad. And so my grandpa as a baby, and I forgot I'd kind of transitioned some stuff over to another album. Again, I love this. It has that vintage feel to it. And it's, I'm trying to think of what year this is. 1927. I may redo this. I may re-scrapbook this photo. I'm not for sure. I love this layout. I just feel like I could probably maybe put this down more towards like the 1950s photo. So I could probably just like put another photo here down the road. So we'll see. I just feel like 1920 still needs to be a little bit darker. Again, I'm very literal, and I like, again, I wanted my my product to match kind of the time frames. And then I had some pictures of my grandma and grandpa, and there's some school pictures of theirs. I might keep, I don't know. We'll see. Because they're really cute layouts. I think it's a lot of October afternoon, maybe. But like I said, with what I'm doing now, I would have saved the October afternoon product until maybe when they were a little bit older or young adults, when I'm getting the 1940s, 1950s kind of thing. Versus when they were so young, but it's fine. It's fine. So I had some layouts I had done. This is actually a while back. I had done some of these of their siblings, and then this one I really love. It's just some pictures of them on the farm, him and his siblings, and that with the denim because of the overalls and things like that. Like, I just love this. But it was some different pictures through some different time frames of my grandpa and his brothers. And then this is then some of the whole family because he had a couple sisters as well. And again, I had done these a while back, and here I just put some 2 tags here and journaled there. A draft, I had found a draft, like registration and draft, and physical information for my grandpa, for must have been World War II. Yep. But I don't think he ever fought. He never went over. So I'm thinking maybe it ended before his number was called. So, and that's my grandpa. He's so handsome. And then again, these I had done a while back these are my grandma and grandpa's senior pictures. And then I get into their wedding. And, these are 1940s. They're feeling a little bit more. I just feel like I love them. I just feel like they're maybe just a little too bright. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I have to sometimes I have to tell myself it's okay. Like, because I think these are fine because we're starting to get color into the photos here, which is really fun. And the colors in the photos are the colors I use for the scrapbook. So I think here we're fine, but I think maybe some of these older ones when they were like kids, I might redo into some, and maybe make that transition a little bit more, just a little bit not so stark of a difference from like these brown and reds and tans to these bright colors. I might transition that a little bit better. And I might just do that. I think I maybe have some other photos. Maybe I'll just try to incorporate that transition a little bit easier into these like brighter photos. And these are still, I mean, they're not bright. They're still pretty muted just because they're, they're heritage, by their nature. The line was a heritage kind of line, just a brighter, so I don't know. We'll see. I would just like this transition to have been maybe not so into so much color right away. That's okay. And so yeah. So that's where I'm at. So like this one, for instance, I just did, and this one I would have like maybe preferred to have more of the like this type of style as a transition, where you're still a lot of neutral background, but starting to incorporate a little bit more color, and then transitioned into like the all color layout kind of thing. That, I hope that makes some sense if you guys understand what I'm talking about. And maybe watching the last video will help that, because I kind of talk a little bit about how I'm scrapbooking, and I have my products organized by era. And so I'm trying to just really match the pages to flow along with the era of time, and how, colors kind of changed over time, the colors of the homes and the decor and the clothing and those kinds of things. I just want that feel to like match all the way through. And so that's, I think, where my concern is that these ones I done a while back, I wasn't doing the process of scrapbooking this whole family. I was just grabbing some photos and scrapbooking them. And now in retrospect, I kind of want to just maybe change that up a little bit. But yeah, so here's some more. She called them my ramblings. This is my great Auntie Vi. I typed up some of her memories of growing up, and which is fun. And then what else is in here? And then this is her family. And so I do have quite a bit of information for her side of the family. And so I'll probably try to work on hers a little bit too as well when I'm done with my grandpa. And just because I think it's close enough to my generation that I have a lot more information. And actually met her when I was little, so I might include some more information on her family up front, and then go back and maybe do some of the other wives and their families and their histories down the road. So here I had, I think this is my grandma's side. I think this is her mom was writing a poem. No, this was, poem for her husband. Yes, because this is George. I often sit and wonder. So she had written, so this gal here had written this poem for her husband for their anniversary, their 40-year anniversary. And she had written it out and then was giving it to somebody to kind of like edit and proofread. And it's amazing. It has so much information. Like, this one poem talks about the 40 years of their lives together and all the things that they had been through, and hard times and good times and memories. And what a treasure. You guys, what a treasure. Amazing. Like here, let me find an example. Has food information. There was a part about the war here. So, bacon and eggs and butter sweet, of syrup and coffee for our hungry family to eat. Never to worry that we'd gain too much weight. The kids always fighting, so we would set them straight. There was a part in here. Oh, the war brought us a ration book. You needed to use it in order to cook. I wonder if those were their ration stamps, if that was this family. There were stamps for vegetables, lard, and meat. We had little sugar and coffee, but always plenty to eat. We got cards for gas, A, B, and C, coupons for shoes with those you had to agree. We didn't mind the things we lacked so long as all our boys came back. Oh my gosh, it made me tear up. So they obviously had some boys in the war. That, I mean, whew, that got me, guys. I've read it before, but for some reason that, like, you think about just the times that they went through during that time frame. And to have that documented is so very cool. So this is one I think I'm definitely going to redo. My grandma and grandpa's, I think this is for an anniversary picture. And this is my mind's eye. It's beautiful. It has a little bit of a vintage feel to it, but I might redo that one. We'll see. So anyway, guys, that is what I've done so far. Again, I just kind of got to the point where I was ready to take a break and play with some brighter product and play with some new stuff and new pictures. We're, going through some major changes in our family and taking lots of pictures of my, daughter prepping for college and all the things. I just want to kind of document as I go, and I like to document current things to, as so I don't forget details. And I'm going to actually do another one of those videos here shortly. So I have a couple layout shares to upload. So I'm sorry I'm throwing a lot of content at you right away. But I want to get kind of these videos off of my phone. But I've been doing these throughout the last few months and just haven't sat down and just uploaded them. So sorry I'm kind of throwing a lot of content at you. But those of you that aren't interested in heritage scrapbooking, I know can just skip this video and the last. You can still see some, hopefully what I think are some pretty neat layouts, but, if this doesn't interest you, then you can skip these. And I do have also a couple layout shares that are going to be popping up on your feed. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much and happy scrapping. Bye-bye.